auto ISO. Oh, okay. And I use auto ISO with a limit of, it depends on which camera, but on my newest camera, I do a limit of 12,800. So as the lighting changes, as they ride around, they're under a light, they're not under a light, whatever happens, the ISO is moving all over the place. So generally speaking, I think if they're under a spotlight, it lands at around 5, 6,000 ISO. If they're really in a deep dark corner, it's 12,800. So it's somewhere between those two. So for basic camera settings, that's generally where I start and kind of see how it's working and maybe tweak it a little bit. But that's generally where I start. The harder part is I think you asked to talk about focusing,
Yeah.
which is probably a little bit more camera specific. So on the camera I use most, I use a Canon R5 II mostly. And so I have two different focusing systems set up on two different buttons, and I kind of go back and forth. One of them is the eye focus. So if I'm lucky, and you can actually see the rider or the animal's eye, it'll lock on pretty fast. If I'm not having luck with that, I switch to sort of the normal small zone, like the center point and its the cross around it, the 4 points around it, to get close. And generally speaking, for things that I'm farther away, so if I'm way back in the corner shooting the bulls or any of the riding activities, the eye works pretty well. For the barrel racing, if I can, I like to be pretty close to one of the barrels, and there's no way to catch that eye as the horse is spinning around and the dirt's going everywhere. So that I tend to use a little bit more of the zone focus. So I think I don't. Is that the complete list? I'll pause there. That was a lot of techie stuff to throw out at one time.
No, it all made sense to me and hopefully everyone. And how about metering? That's the only thing you didn't cover.
So metering, so the only thing the metering impacts is the auto ISO. And for that, I just use sort of the center weighted evaluative metering. My
Okay.
mouth is working. I
Okay.
generally use the center weighted. I think sometimes I've tried spot, but you got to be pretty dead on, and those things are moving pretty fast. And so I'm pretty comfortable if I'm in that 5, 6, 7,000 ISO range. I've got some wiggle room on exposure after the fact if I'm a little bit off. So I think that
Mm.
center weighted works the best for me.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
What about color balance?
So I shoot raw. So that's a good question. I shoot raw. The color comes out all sorts of wacky. And so I generally adjust that myself after.
What do you, okay.
I mean, it's pretty easy to use. I use Lightroom. Pretty easy to use the eyedropper and pick a neutral area of the picture and have it kind of pick something pretty close.
Okay.
Because the colors are all wonky in there. And actually, it's fluorescent, so they're flickering. And if you actually have a camera that has that sensitivity to the flickering lights, it'll try to shoot in between the flickering lights, and you can get some really weird coloring with that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like yellow. And we've had Sarah.
Double bonus though, I was looking at pictures preparing for this, and it's amazing how many pictures I get a good tack sharp picture of the animal and the rider, and then perfectly blur it out, but I can still make it out that Hans is in the background.
That's not what I expected you to say.
I am naturally blurry. It's how I am.
He is actually good. And Sarah has joined us, and I don't know who iPhone 2 is.
It's Renee.
Oh,
Renee,
hi. And
So
Bob.
Raina, not for now, but if we get into deep stuff, I pulled some examples out too.
Okay, I know. I don't know how we can do that.
You just give me permission to share if you wanted to, and I could share, but we don't have to do it now as you're just kind of getting into the settings. But I did kind of pull them, including one where I can see Hans in the background.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. So let's think about everything he has said.
I guess the one last thing I would say, Raina, wasn't a setting, it's more of a technique.
Uh-huh.
And I'll give you two. One's a copy from Hans. But generally speaking, we get like the list of things we have to capture. So like let's say we get the list that say we got new sponsor logos inside the bucking chute. Then in that case, I know that the focus point is going to be pretty even with the door of the bucking chute when it's closed. So I can focus on that. And then as soon as the chute opens, I don't have to refocus because the animal's right there. I can see the inside of the chute. And so that's a pretty easy one. Actually, my highest hit rate is those right at the beginning when the chute opens, because you can kind of predict where everything's going to be and kind of pre-focus. I do that one a lot, especially if you're at the far end, shooting across the whole arena. You generally
Yeah.
get that one nailed each time. The other thing is, it's amazing. It was amazing to me. Hans kept saying, "Don't stop, don't stop." But it's amazing to me the action that happens after the buzzer goes off. The riders jump around, they'll stop, they'll pray, they'll run into the crowd. So there's amazing things that happen after. Now they're moving a little bit slower because there's people on the ground, but it's still hard to track them. So I would kind of say locked on the rider even after they get off or get thrown off because something might happen.
Absolutely. There, 90% of the shots of mine that have been used by marketing have been after the buzzer. It's the people celebrating, looking happy. That's when you actually get the emotion.
Exactly. That's a great thing to bring up because I think a lot of people stop. And I used to, but now I follow all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, that's great. Thank you. So, Jeff Van Scoy,
The other Jeff.
the other Jeff.
Actually, Jeff and I shoot a lot of things more similar than different. I also I shoot in manual, so I pick a shutter speed, and it depends on the event, but I'll usually do a rider rope or whatever the event is, but I'll try it at an 800th of a second just to see if I can get enough freezing of the action so that the ISO doesn't have to be so high. Frequently, though, I can't. It depends on what the event is. And so then I'll bump up to 1,000th to a 1,500th, but I don't go above that for anything because I can't control the ISO enough. I usually shoot with two cameras. So one has a 24 to 70 2.8, the other has a 70 to 200 2.8. And the camera with the 70 to 200 is a high megapixel, 50 million pixel camera. So I can crop that a lot and still have enough resolution to have a decent picture. I don't crop it, obviously, for the marketing department, but for myself. But they can crop it. So if I give them the full frame file, they've got plenty of room to do whatever they want to with it. The other camera, the point of that, the other camera is 33 million pixel, which plays pretty much like anybody's 24 million pixel camera. And so they can't crop that one as much and maintain the resolution. But I tend to shoot the 24 to 70 on that, so it's wide angle. The pictures usually have a lot of room to begin with for a storytelling reason. But between the two, the 24 to 70 is used less often for action pictures. So I get a little more flexibility with shutter speed. It can usually be a little lower. That's more for local interest shots, something happening in the crowd. And then I'll usually shoot both cameras wide open. If there's a group or if there's something I know a little depth of field, Jeff mentioned getting a sign in focus with the subject. I might go to f4 or f5.6 just to make sure I can get enough of the storytelling part in focus. But probably 7 times out of 10, the lenses are wide open, trying to capture the flight in these in the venues. In focus mode, it kind of depends on what you're shooting. Most of the time, I'm probably in a either what Sony calls zone focus, which is maybe a third of the viewfinder area is covered, or in wide focus, which covers the whole thing. Because a lot of the events we shoot, it's a horse and a rider. And so that's what the camera is going to find, no pun intended, but right out of the gate, it's going to lock on to the main contrast first thing that it comes to in depth. So that works pretty well. But if it's being confused by something, I've got, and I can request the camera either to look for animal eyes or people eyes. It won't look for both at the same time. So I kind of have to make a choice with that if I think the rider or the animal is going to be the more important part of the picture. But I can set the camera up with that to look for one or the other. And then if I'm having trouble with it, I'll go down to just what Sony refers to as a single spot focus, which is in the middle. And almost everything we do is on continuous focus. So the camera will automatically adjust the focus as the subject moves. You don't have focus lock with that. So sometimes in crowd shots or trying to get a volunteer, I may go to single, but most of it is on continuous.
Jeff, your sound, I don't know if it's just me, but did Jeff's sound go down while he was talking?
It sounded fine.
Okay, it's me.
It's okay.
Keep going.
All right.
He might have bleeped out when he said, I thought he said Sony. It was like it was like a swear word on TV. They like beeped it out, but other than that, his voice was fine.
I thought I would have been canceled right there. I wouldn't be on the call anymore. But one thing that I thought about a lot was the drive mode. And drive mode, if I'm shooting people pictures, yeah, I'm either on single or I'm on a very slow motor, maybe 3 shots a second, something like that, because otherwise you're just buried in pictures. And I know when I started doing this, I had way too many photographs that I took. But part of that, if you were being paid to do this rather than the volunteer part, and so you had to have the shot of the right guy at exactly the right instant. Your nature, if you were being paid to do it, would be to shoot at 20 or 30 frames a second for things, and then pick out the one you want and delete the other 100. But for what we're doing with volunteering, it's a challenge because it's a lot of editing time and culling time. And so that's a little bit of a quandary. But I think for rodeo, the faster the frame rate, your odds go up. But again, there's a balance there between just having too much tonnage to deal with. ISO, like Jeff, I will shoot on auto ISO, so I set the f-stop, I set the shutter speed, I let the camera handle the ISO, and I try to give it parameters that the ISO won't get out of hand. I know the first event I shot, it was up around 40,000, and it was even with noise reduction, I couldn't get usable pictures out of it. So I try to keep no higher than 12, 16,000 if I can. Metering mode, I use evaluative metering. I generally have not used spot for the same reasons. It's too hard to keep the subject in the spot. And also, if you use spot, the spot is looking for an 18% gray area to meter off of. And the first thing you get is an all white horse or an all black horse. And your spot metering is going to be wrong anyway. So the evaluative usually gets you in the ballpark and certainly within the fixable range with a little bit of work in Lightroom. And so that was the main things that I had thought about. But again, the trying to both get enough pictures to give yourself an assortment of the exact right moment, and not having too many pictures that you just can't deal with it is a pretty fine line. So that's what I had.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And thank you, Jeff and Amber. And I would caution anyone to think, well, she picked those people and they must really know what they're doing. And so I don't want to do it. I do something different.
Mine is mostly trial by error. I take a lot of pictures. I tried, so I think it was Hans, and I cannot think of the other guy's name. Who used to shoot with a lot with you, Hans?
Rob.
Rob. They gave me, and so I shoot in RAW and I do edit my photos in Lightroom, but they gave me the hint of shooting the pictures darker. So I think that's what really helped me shoot a little bit better photos and not trying to get the lighting perfect. So I do shoot a little bit darker and then edit in Lightroom. But I guess when I first started, and I guess I'm going to talk more about the horse events because I think everyone hit really good on the rodeo events. The horse events are another aspect of it. I don't know if I
can I
still
interject
do.
one thing?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so the reason to shoot darker is because then you're not struggling with the ISO quite as much, so it won't
Yeah.
introduce so much noise. So when you do brighten it, there's less noise in it. That was all I was going to add.
Yeah, no, you're perfectly fine. I can't remember what I did last year. I can't remember what I did yesterday. So I know there was a time that I shot in aperture priority, and it's a hit or miss. I might try it for a little bit and it doesn't work, and then I'll switch back to manual. But sometimes I shoot in aperture priority and I put mine at like between 3.5 and 5.6. But sometimes that doesn't work. So then I have to go in manual. But when I'm stuck, that's kind of what I do is I'll throw it in aperture priority. I try and shoot for my ISO to be like 1600, I think. I couldn't find any pictures. I have a new computer and I can't find my hard drive, so I couldn't look really quick to see what my ISO is normally at. And then I try and do zone focus on mine as well. And I usually try and do my zones either on the left of mine or the right of mine. I don't know. I don't shoot in the middle for whatever reason, but I think everything else kind of was the same-ish. But I haven't really picked up my camera all year, so I don't know. I've been kind of burnt out this year, so anyways, yeah.
Yeah, you're working. Some of us are retired. I have a couple questions myself, and then we'll go and see if anyone else does. And this one's for Kathy. So hopefully, Kathy, you can answer a question. Do we have a max megapixels for sending to you and or marketing? We used to because our computers were not able to handle. And I know I had to do my very first year, I had to set my camera for like what it was called, medium, or it just made it be less megapixel.
No. If you're uploading to my cloud accounts, they're free, so they only take so much. But if you have a cloud account that you pay for and you put large files up there, I can download them. And we don't have any limitations anymore on what size files. We fought that for a long time, but marketing wants as big of files as they can get for multiple uses. As far as our computers, well, as most of you know, when we got these ones that we have now, they were not what we requested and had small hard drives. But this year we've come up with a change which will improve that because we've been backing up to an external drive that was a long way away. So we had a lot of lag, but we now have an external drive that's been installed in our office. So yeah, there's really not that many limitations anymore. In fact, this new external drive has a 2 terabyte hard drive in it and a bay for another one. So we can take large files. So yeah.
Okay.
So Kathy, what's the minimum file size?
Oh gosh. Probably for the trade show assignment, I would say 5 MB would be the smallest size that we would take.
Okay.
I know whether it was Hans or marketing directly asked me for a larger file, and their minimum they could take to make, I think, a large, hopefully a billboard,
Yeah.
was 22 megapixels. I mean, Amber had one last year, or the year before. Anyway, 22 megapixels was the minimum that they needed.
Okay.
And that was just for like a rodeo. And I'd also like to ask about frames per second. I'm not sure, Jeff. Dan Scott quite covered it, but Jeff Goldberg.
So I go pretty high frames per second. Well, let me rephrase. So like if I'm used to the event, so if I kind of know what's going to happen, I use a high frame rate, but I can kind of time when things are going to happen, so I don't end up with a million pictures. So I go electronic shutter. I just put in the chat up. I go electronic shutter, and I think I go 20 some frames a second, whatever that works out to be, which is usually about 20, 25 frames for a specific rider. The hardest one for me, actually, it's easy to predict the things coming out of the chutes. You know where they're going to be. The hardest one for me is the flags. Like the rodeo queens riding the flags around, because by the time they come out, half of the flag is unfurled. By the time it fixes itself, the horse's legs are in the wrong spot, and then before I know it, they're on my side of the arena, and I can't focus on them. So like that seems to be like the most random one. So I'm happy halfway through the stock show we don't have to shoot flags anymore, because that seems to be a more challenging one.
And I love doing the flags, but I was going to ask, does anyone else use spot metering for flags? And, when they're in a spotlight, like they're singing the national anthem or it's a flag that's going around, I try to switch to spot metering, and I find that works a lot better.
Yeah.
Serena, for that, like the national anthem, when they're not moving and they're in a spot,
Right.
I do switch to aperture priority, and I'm shooting full all mirrorless cameras, so I just use exposure compensation and can see it instantly that it's the right exposure or not.
And that's what I do too.
And
Yeah,
for
spot metering for the non-moving subjects can be useful.
for the horse events such as freestyle reining or the the dancing horses, where the lighting is a part of it and everything, I'll use spot metering on the rider's face generally, so that that will be the base right there, and you'll get a good bit of the lighting around or whatever. You do evaluative, it's going to try and flatten out a lot of the lighting around the rider. So generally I'll use spot on those.
So when you guys are saying spot metering, are you guys referring to like your exposure, like looking at your histogram?
Mm-mm.
So
Are you looking at what you're focused on, like what it's auto focusing on?
So
So-
no, not focus. So if you have
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Oh, so if you have anything auto in the camera, so in the case of Jeff and I, we're using auto ISO. If you're using aperture priority, the camera's picking the shutter speed. So anything where it's helping you with that exposure, the camera has to know what it thinks the proper exposure should be. So you
Okay.
generally have three choices: the whole frame, which is going to average the whole frame, or you can pick the very middle of the frame, which is what Hans was talking about. Then you just put the middle of the frame on a bright part, or something in between. And so I use the one that's in between and just kind of tweak it as I go. So Hans uses that spot one for those bright riders he was talking about to kind of help the camera figure out what it should set those auto settings to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in
that make
rodeo, I
sense?
don't use the spot metering, but I do with horse events, with anything with the drastic lighting, basically.
Right.
Yeah, one of the examples I picked, one of the hardest ones in the horse event was the one where they light the ground on fire,
Yeah.
which is like so bright, and then like it messes everything up. So even on the horse's face, or the rider's face. So like I do a lot of exposure compensation in that situation.
Okay. And anyone else have questions on these settings, or does anything different for rodeo in a dark Coliseum?
I mean,
So,
I shoot
go
only
ahead.
manual for everything.
Yeah,
So
I just,
when it comes to like even the dark settings, or like let's say that one of the trickiest settings would be knowing when something's about to happen, like knowing when they're going to turn the lights off and then they're going to turn the light on. So what I try to do is I try to get my settings dialed in. If they have a spotlight going on before they turn the lights on, getting my settings dialed in on that spot. So when they turn the light off and then they turn it back on and they have a spotlight going around, whether it be on a stagecoach or being on a bullfighter, my settings are already dialed in for that light. So I don't have to worry about switching settings or waiting for my camera to adjust settings. It's already dialed in for that shot. Um, and then everything else, like I said, I don't, the only thing that's auto on mine would be like autofocus, but even then, I'll use settings that are like I'll use spot focus for certain things, specifically like when you have lots of people in the
Yeah.
image and you're wanting like that um, you know, steer wrestler. You want that
yeah,
one guy in the shot. So then I'd have that spot wherever I want the that subject in the frame. I will go ahead and set it up in the frame where I'm hoping that they will be when I take that shot. And then I move my camera and hope that well, it kind of forces me to be in that right framing shot. Um, I don't know if that makes sense.
setting it for center and focusing on that person and then composing later. I
I
mean,
mean,
compose.
so yeah, so I try to compose before I take the shot. So basically I'm thinking about how do I want this shot to look before I take it. And so I'll set that focus meter, focus spot, whether it be small, large, or whatever medium. I'll set it in a spot of the frame where I want, like if for instance, if I know they're coming from the left and I want some empty space on the right, and obviously like let's say they're steer wrestling, you got, you know, a horse coming out and or whatever, two guys coming out and the one guy's jumping on. Now I may not be in the right spot because he may be on the left side of the steer coming out. But if I can get his face, obviously I want his face and the bull's or the steer's face at the same shot. So I will go ahead and frame my spot in the right spot on the screen. So when I'm following him and I take those shots, I know that every shot that I just took, he's framed right where I want him to be in the end product. So I'm not having to worry about cropping or whatever else later on down the road. It's already taken in photo.
Um, when you said you use everything manual, do you use auto ISO or manual?
It's all manual.
Okay, so what do you set your ISO at? Way high or?
I change it throughout the events. It's funny. So you were saying about the settings, the ISO. That was probably me. I was going back through some of my photos because I was curious. I was like, okay, how many photos do I take where it's in that 20,000 range? And there's a lot of shots that I have that are in the 20,000 to 25,000 ISO range. Now, post, I'll edit them because when they come out of the camera, most of the time, I would say about 90% of the time, they're grainy. But if if I've adjusted my exposures enough and if my aperture is set correctly, it actually the aperture is really important. So if I set the aperture correctly, then it kind of counters the graininess of the ISO. And now, backing up, I shoot with a Sony. So Sony has a better capability than most other brands out there for low light.
Hey, hey, hey.
And so,
Sony.
it's a little easier for me to shoot. I don't know, I wouldn't say cheat, but it's a little easier for me to shoot in those conditions. And then when I get back, like you were saying earlier about how technology in these editing programs and softwares have like gotten so good that, and even in our cameras, where you can click a button and it takes a photo that's really noisy and makes it look really nice and smooth and crisp. So I do that a lot. So a lot of my photos, once I get them edited, um, I'll run them through that denoising um, program.
Do
And
you use Lightroom or a different?
I use Lightroom
Yeah,
Classic.
yeah, okay.
But it works great. And and I'm still learning because when it comes to sometimes you guys are talking about whether you shoot or who was Amber was saying that somebody told her to shoot darker. I think
Mhm.
in most cases that's a good safe way to save your settings to where you don't have to run as high of an ISO.
Right.
But here's what I've learned is that when you have a high ISO, if your camera settings are too dark, it's actually going to be grainier than it is if you have it a little more exposed. Also, with some of these mirrorless cameras and their sensors, if they're underexposed and they're really grainy, like they're high ISO, when you go into post to edit them, um, if you try to brighten them up, you're going to start seeing artifacts like I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of looks like a grid. And it's the sensor, I think, causes this artifact that happens on some images. And I even noticed, like, on some of my images, I shot it what seemed like it was a perfect setting for just a little dark. But when I try to brighten it up, in the darkest areas of that photo, you start to see this grid looking artifact. And maybe in that specific scenario, maybe it needs to be even more exposed when you're taking the photo, so that way you don't have to expose it more in post. I don't know. I'm just,
Yeah.
Yeah, which I
We
have to
have,
say, everybody's camera is different. And I mean, you got to get to know your own camera and
Yeah.
how it responds to the different things.
hmm
And I'm going to say something controversial here. I don't shoot manual, I shoot in shutter priority.
I knew
So,
that, and I didn't know if you were going to say it.
because
Yeah.
generally in shutter priority, that's my most important setting is my shutter because I want to freeze the action. And it's going to put my aperture all the way down at 2.8 generally. And then I have the ISO set. I have limits on it, but I have the ISO set to auto. So, um, then, to me, the camera's a little better at making all the different calculations than I am. But I watch, I'll look at a few of the images ahead of time and stuff just to make sure that it's doing what I want it to do. But I'll shoot in shutter priority.
Yeah. I have shot in shutter priority and aperture priority. I figure I pay a lot of money for that camera. Once in a while, I use its frame, right?
Yeah, and
And
occasionally towards the end of the stock show, when I've shot a ton of rodeos and I really know what the lighting's like there, I can switch over to manual
yeah,
pretty comfortably and everything. So I know what it's going to be. They don't generally change the lighting late into the stock show. So, but normally it's shutter priority.
yeah. And just as a side note, we had a speaker at our club that spent an hour telling us it's not just high ISO that makes your photos grainy, and I can't even tell you all the different ways, but it's very interesting, and I think that Dave might be saying that. some of that.
Yeah,
That we
Rena,
can
what,
test that. Why is this happening kind of thing?
Rena, one of the interesting things I think about shooting a little dark, which if I'm going to error, I'll error to the dark side, is that it helps prevent blowing out the highlights.
Yeah,
For me, it's a little more about that than about the noise, which is a curse of this kind of photography, almost no matter what approach you take. But if you blow out the brights, then there's really no recovery. If you went a little bit too dark, it's easy to salvage that. Even if you do get some more noise in some areas, you can still get a usable picture.
so Amber, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that was a good one.
In Western
I
photos in
think
general,
people-
grain is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we don't want it to
Yeah.
be too grainy, but we've got the dirt flying and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
So there's lots of little dots on the screen anyway, and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
generally, grainy a little bit is okay.
And I didn't
Bob,
welcome Paul
can you hear me?
down there. I'm going to move away from rodeo a little bit unless someone has a pressing question that they want answered. And I would encourage us all to talk to each other about some things that have been brought up if you haven't gotten your full answer now. Like I have some, but anyway, just any burning questions before?
I do have a side question. So there's a guy that I met about 3 years ago who was walking around when I was doing both photography and other areas. And he always had a flash on his camera. And I started talking to him. I don't remember his name, but he I guess he teaches a class on speedlight or something like that. Does anybody know who I'm talking about?
No.
Was he with our group?
I thought he was. He was a really nice guy, and I kind of want to get a hold of him again because I kind of want to take his class. I mean, not for the rodeo, but just in general.
And we're going to talk about Flash, I think, in the next. We talked a little bit. We talked a lot about rodeo. We talked a little bit about horses in the event center, or at least Hans and Amber brought that up a little bit. But having gone on the tour and listened to marketing and just seeing what's going on, and if you're on Facebook, seeing the pictures they're posting, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like I've noticed a lot more social type pictures.
A lot
not
more what?
all, but people, a lot more people pictures. And I know that they want to use these facilities year round. So I'm thinking we are going to be, and Kathy, you can, maybe I'm crazy, but it seems to me we're going to be called upon to do a lot of social events. And I would just like to take a few minutes to talk about the difference in what social events are, and not just settings, but how do I tactfully just say behaviors and whether you should use a flash. How do you handle other photographers that are walking around in the venue? And maybe just how are we going to find the venue at this point in time? So just a little bit about social events in the event center, which I've done several, and in other venues, because if you've done any of the dinners, etc., that are in the different venues, it's a completely different situation than it is for the rodeos and other events. And I just think we're going to be doing a lot of them, especially the next year with all of the new buildings. So, in particular, and the name is escaping me, where the club is now going to be called the Club on the Hill,
Yes.
right?
No, the old club on The old club on the hill.
Old Club on the Hill.
Yes, so there'll be receptions in there. The new club is called the Legacy Club.
Okay. I need to write that down because I can remember. I mean, I know Legacy Building. Okay, Legacy Club. So it's not like membership sounding anymore, right?
Oh no, it's a membership thing. Yes.
Okay. But it's completely different, big windows. If you haven't been there, it's completely different venue. So, would anyone like to address that does some of the differences in how you handle those? Hans, you've done a lot. Jeff has done a lot. I don't know about Jeff Goldberg, if you've done a lot.
No, I shy away.
For the social events, I will generally bring a flash. I'll let it do TTL. Sometimes occasionally I'll do manual and drop it down a bit until it take test shots to make sure everything looks okay. Because for some reason with mine anyway, TTL will sometimes blow stuff out that I don't want it to. I'm not great with flash. I don't use flash a lot. So previously that was a pretty big issue. You having to use flash and everything at the social events. The lighting in the new place looks a lot better, but we'll have to see once we actually get events going in those locations to see, we may not need to use flash as much because it looks like there could be natural lighting coming in from the sides and stuff.
Yeah. Hans,
But-
at the Legacy, I shot the Young Guns art exhibit the other night, and I did bring a flash and I used it a little. The lighting is much better than almost any other venue we've worked in. It's both brighter and it's more consistent in color. Right? All the bulbs are brand new, so they're all the same.
Yeah.
And it is better. Flash, I wound up maybe using it for 10% of the pictures. I found it to be a little obtrusive in this group where people are talking and I would usually go up and say, do you mind if I take your pictures while you're talking?
Exactly.
But then I would just kind of drift into the background and they'd forget I'm there after a little bit. And if I used flash, it put them right back on notice that they're having their picture taken.
Yeah.
But the one benefit of flash is cowboy hats. If you use a flash with some kind of like a little dome diffuser on the top, so you get a softer light and goes everywhere, it gets under the brim and you can see people's eyes.
Yes. Cowboy hats are the best reason to use them and the best reason not to use them because you can't, if you're wearing a cowboy hat, it's really hard to use.
You can't use it. Exactly. So I think on events like this, I'll always have one with me. And if it lends itself well to something, no problem, I'll use it. But I think that the new venue is going to be naturally better.
Yeah, I think so too. It's always hard to tell with National Western. It tends to find some of the worst lighting they can, but so far it's looking really good. But I'm not going to get my hopes up.
It was. I'm just culling my pictures from that now, and the available lights are much improved.
So what I do read, so like I know I poo-pooed it fast, but like I did the Brown Palace thing last year, and we'll do that again, which is like black in there. So I don't like to use a strobe because it's just like it's too many. I too many things happening at once. I use a constant light, so I bring a video light with me, and I use that for the up close pictures. And then when I can do the staged ones, like at that event specifically, the cow doesn't move. It's sort of locked in one spot with the little girl. So then I bring a little light stand, I bring a strobe, I set the whole thing up. They're very patient to kind of everyone's like in line doing the same thing. I just don't do the sort of wedding photographer camera or the flash sitting in the hot shoe mode.
Yeah.
It was interesting at the Brown Palace, there were so many TV people there. We had a whole big discussion before the cow came in that we all had to set the same color balance on our lights. Otherwise, we'd mess each other's pictures and videos up. So there was a whole big thing to get the color balance right on the lights.
Oh. And that would be interesting. You can get a small video light, LED light that will go in a hot shoe. that might kick in just enough light under a hat
Yeah,
to
for
see a
sure.
little more
They sell
detail.
cheap ones for like $50. You
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
pretty close. This one happens to be a little bit stronger, so I can be, 6 feet away. But
Yep.
yeah, that's what I use instead of a strobe for those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I may try that.
I wrote that down because it sounds like, I've done a lot of the social events, and if no one else really is interested in doing that, we
I've
could
I've done my share too.
Oh, is that I forgot about you, Renee, because
Yeah. It sounds like Jeff needs to be doing more of them.
Only
I
if you
think
want it done badly.
so. Yeah, since we might be doing more, I will just say a few things about doing a social event to add on to that. I've always taken a flash. I have never used the flash once because of um, haven't I haven't needed to. As it turns out, I get back and okay, I made it again without having to use the flash. But on many occasions, there's been paid photographers there that have the whole setup, the flash, and everything. And sometimes it's interesting that you all talked about doing things so that you wouldn't wreck each other's pictures, because I've had situations where it's not quite as amiable with other. Nobody's really just said get out of my way, but it hasn't always been as amiable as that. So anyway, questions on social events.
Nope. And remember, I mean, yes, we need to be nice to all the other photographers and everything, obviously, but you are the most important photographer there. Just FYI. Because
Oh,
we're shooting for the stock show. If it's one of our social events,
I
you
kind of
have
need
priority. Feel free to take charge or whatever.
okay. You assume kind of they're getting paid. I'm thinking of the rodeo photographers. That the situation is not the same. The ones that are
Yeah.
on the church.
Yeah, that's a little different. We stay out of their way or whatever. But even then, marketing has said, they use more of our shots than they use of the in-ring guys' shots. So they are more interested in what we've got because we're getting the natural light a little better and stuff like that. They don't like his shots that use a bunch of flash. They want the more natural light
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So
Good. That's what they're getting.
So I'm gonna break in here a second. Rena, there's some items here in the chat.
Okay.
One is Sarah mentioned that the person that David was talking about, his name might have been Eric Hageman. And
Eric
yeah.
was never part of this group.
No.
But he might be the person that taught that speedlight class.
Oh no, that was
correct?
me.
That was you?
I did that. For the club?
Well, no, in the chat, Sarah, you put that in there, right? Yeah. Okay.
Your microphone's not on, Sarah.
It was just a guess. I just threw that out since he was teaching, and he's a nice man, and la la la. It was a guess.
No, he hasn't. He does black and white of the Eastern Plains.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
The other items here in the chat, apparently Bob has some problems with his audio, but he would like to bring up in the discussion, this goes back to the earlier part where you were talking about ISO limits on cameras, high-end ISO. Says he set his at 8,000, but he doesn't want it to go any higher, so he puts a cap on it. At least that's my interpretation, what he's trying to tell me here. So, yeah, I think you can, on a lot of cameras, you can cap out your auto ISO.
I did that on my very first rodeo, so to speak. And I set it too low and it capped out and my camera froze so here horses are going and I'm still messing with my camera to figure out why it was awful. So set it higher than lower is my suggestion. Anyway, anything else, Kathy, in there? No. Okay.
You know what? One thing that we haven't talked about is your SD card or your memory card.
Okay.
If you're going to be shooting on like a lot of pictures per frame, you need a good quality card. I can't even remember what are they called, Hans? You know,
The Extreme. I can't remember the brand name I
Extreme. There
used,
you
but
go.
Extreme, because not only does that allow you to shoot at the higher speeds if you need to capture at a higher speed, when you're downloading your images, they go a lot faster.
Yeah.
And you know, that really saves us a lot of time, especially me who has to work late to, you know, after the final rodeo and everything. Downloading pictures faster. Oh, that's a good thing to do.
Well, but even taking them, I mean, my camera used to almost like overheat. It would
Yeah.
get real warm and then it just would stop until it had a chance to cool off. So, but when I changed to the Extreme card, that made a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
Extreme, and you want the number 2 card if your camera will take it. And if anyone, I don't know, I haven't bought one of the new Express. What am I thinking of? The Type A.
Yeah.
CF Express.
Does anyone have one of those?
I do.
I do.
Volker, you've got to have one, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh,
They're
what is
amazing.
it called? Sorry, what are they called?
Well, no, it's the style of cards. So if your camera can support the CF Express cards, they're way better than the SD cards. I mean, like in some cases, 10 times faster. So they're definitely the way to go, and they're more sturdy too. So if I can, I use those almost exclusively.
But there's probably only about 10 or 15 current cameras that take those.
Oh, so my vintage Nikon D70
It will
75.
not.
Okay. All right.
But that
Thank
is,
you.
I was looking at getting some new SD cards today, and that is definitely the future of, and they have come down in price. I found one for $190.
Yeah, they have. There's some off-brand ones that have come out that are putting some price pressure on SanDisk and Sony to lower the prices a little.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. So, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking online. I see one here, B&H Photo for $260.
Oh my God. I need to get a part-time job at Denny's.
Yeah, photography's not for the week of whatever.
Oh.
And then you don't
Oh,
want this.
I didn't win that Powerball.
Sarah,
Shoot.
there's a reason why we keep our older cameras.
What is it? Door stops? Paperweight?
No, everything just gets so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a trick question. Does anyone shoot in JPEG?
I do.
I do.
Yes,
I do.
I have on
Yeah.
accident before.
I don't have time to do raw. I just don't.
Okay, I just it started to be kind of a question for Kathy, but by the time Kathy gets it, it's a JPEG. But I would suggest to the group and chime in, and especially Hans, when you're shooting the signs with people and activities, I think you're doing a disservice by not shooting in JPEG, especially if you have a fairly recent camera, because the JPEGs are actually, I think, quite good. So just my personal opinion. Any other opinion on that?
Not really. I accidentally shot an entire stock show in JPEG. Didn't realize it till it was too late. And it was fine. You can't do as much editing afterwards, which I had been noticing through the stock show that I was having a little bit more trouble editing than normal, but it's really just basically saving highlights if you've blown out your highlights a little bit or something like that. But JPEGs, they're fine, but I always I don't want to switch over to doing them for a specific task because then I'll forget to switch it back for other stuff.
That's true. That's true.
The only other setting that we didn't talk about that well, controversial is the wrong term. There's probably lots of opinions. Is who uses back button focus? Because I'm a back button focus person, swear by it.
And you know, I've tried it. It was a mess. It was a mess. Nothing was ever in focus. And I'm like, I obviously don't know how to do this, so I got rid of it.
I've tried it, but not for something like a rodeo. I can't even imagine that, but
Yeah.
maybe, at some other point you can show us how you use it in an action environment.
Jeff, it would be worth maybe on another call to do exactly that. I have tried to switch because I've done some research. I understand the benefits and the reason why you do it. But since 1985, I have been a shutter focus person. I can't muscle unlearn it. I have tried
I
3 times and failed, but I get it. I understand why you do it. So it would be good to hear you talk about it.
The other one that would be even crazier that I don't use that I probably should, for people that have the newer cameras, is the pre-shutter.
The pre-shoot.
Yeah, because that would actually be, maybe I'll play with that a little bit next couple of weeks and use that during the stock show because that'd be quite helpful actually.
Yep. I'm going to try that in the stock show. I just got to camera that does it.
I used the back button focus for several years at the stock show. Then I updated my camera and I didn't set it up on my new one. So I don't currently use it, but I have in the past. And my shots have been very similar for whether I was doing it with it or without it. Because really it's learning the action and knowing where to focus and all that sort of stuff too.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that anyone would like to bring up as far as settings, how to deal with anything within the show?
This year, if you want a real challenge for settings and figuring out all this stuff, I posted it in the group, but they're going to be doing the mini Bronx and the mini Bulls in the stadium arena. Talk about bad lighting. That makes the event center look wonderful. Stadium arena, bucking animals. So that is going to be quite the challenge.
Rena, can I ask a question of the group?
Sure.
Has anybody used lenses as long as 300 millimeter rather than like the 70 to 200?
David.
I did the 200 to 600 or whatever it was I have shot a couple of, I think PBR events with it. They worked out fine. Was a little bit more grainy because the ISO would have to go up a bit higher and stuff. But
yeah, for the f-stop.
Modern software could fix that pretty easily. It's not something I'd want to do all the time, but it was fine.
All right.
I shoot a lot of the 200 600 actually.
Yeah.
And Jeff, when I'm shooting like the red carpet or like we did the Young Guns, I'll sometimes adjust my lens out to 300 because you can get the candid cross the room shot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If you're standing at one end, and that's the thing too about these social events, it's not a big of a stage, if you will, as the rodeos and the horse shows. You're usually in a pretty confined space with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to figure out a way to shoot around them. I have a 16 to 300 lens that I just keep on the camera, and so I get the best of both worlds. But you may be taking a picture of 2 people looking at a piece of art and pointing at something, and then out of the corner of your eye, you'll see something going on clean across the room, and there's no way that you can get there in time. And so just crank the lens out to 300, and then you can get that candid shot. But I just wanted to interject when you're talking about, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of people like to take these event type pictures. Um, I don't know why. That's all I do the pictures of anymore. But it's working around the people is the toughest part because you are in a confined space, and when it gets really crowded, like at the red carpet event, Young Guns was really packed. Jeff, I think you'll back me up on that one.
Yep.
Trying to take a couple pictures in the saloon. Every other picture that I took had you in it taking pictures of somebody else. And so half the shots that I took in there, I had to just kind of throw in the trash can or put it in my I like Jeff file. But that's the biggest thing about working in those the art shows and the Young Guns and the Boots and Blue Jeans. You're always working around people, and you don't sometimes have the ability to move from one spot to the other to get those shots.
Yeah, I can't work in those big crowds like that. I'm just too big a guy and everything.
I found out that on this last one I was too short. There were a lot of tall people
Yeah, a
there.
lot of tall
Yeah.
people with big hats.
Yeah, and so you just kind of find your spot by a doorway or someplace where they're not going to run into you, and hope you can bend the light around the corner.
Yep.
I've never taken a longer lens to a social event. I think that's interesting for me. Maybe I'll start taking two
Yeah, I would
cameras.
always bring my 70 to 200 to the art events because good for standing back, and you could also, with the longer lenses, compress the space a bit.
Yeah,
So it looks like if you're getting a shot of them from behind or whatever, they're looking at the art. It makes them look even closer to it and stuff like that. So
okay. Um, anything else? Todd, you're awfully quiet. For a person who has two things hanging in the saloon.
And 5 things at the Young Guns show.
Woohoo!
What?
I had 5 pieces in the Young Guns show.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I photographed Todd.
Here you had two images in the saloon. So when you go to the saloon,
Yep.
take a look.
congratulations, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I was going to ask you something, Dave, about the example I gave in the beginning, and now I can't think what it was. Oh, I was going to mention that we all talk about using the software for getting rid of noise, but I've done some investigation on that because I'm finding that people are just denoising everything, and I'm thinking, well, why don't they just why just why? And it does take away some of the sharpness of your image.
Yep.
I mean, that's how it works. It smooths
Yeah.
things out, kind of like finger paint. And I don't know. I just
Well,
I
that's
just
that's you're approaching a controversial topic because that's not how it works anymore. It's like even the Lightroom one, what it does is it looks for the edges and creates pixels that weren't there before, right? So it's using AI to kind of fill in the gaps to actually come out sharper than it was before you ran the denoise. And so at some point, I imagine Kathy will be in a vigorous debate with somebody in marketing about what's the limits of software we're allowed to use, because I like using the new Lightroom denoise as well. It actually, pictures come out sharper because it's filling in the blanks.
all right.
I have
And
pretty
get
much a hard cutoff on the percentage that I use in that denoise.
what is it?
It'll let you run all the way to 100, right? Which just
Yeah.
looks like a painting. It's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too smooth.
In most situations, it's not good. But my cap is like at 31%. So that's where I set my slider. And sometimes it'll be less than that because, like you said, I like the noise to some extent.
Yeah.
It shows that it's real. Um, and it also adds more detail to the shot. But when I'm shooting at 25,600 ISO, that's more than enough noise and I don't need that much. So I'm gonna run it through that program and get rid of some of that noise.
We can go the other way. and take all the sharp pictures and add green. So that
No.
so the whole team's pictures look the same.
I do that in
But
camera.
don't you think
Is that a fad? I feel like that's a fad. Is that a fad going on?
It is a
I think so.
don't
it
you
is
feel
Hat?
like the grain is what differentiates a picture from AI and real?
Mhm.
A little bit, yep.
I
Somewhat,
think
yes.
that's when I look, like when I see stuff online, I'm like, yep, that's AI.
It's like that fad of adding grain to pictures and then also the blurry wedding photos. What's up with that?
What's with the blurry beach photos? I can't see another one. Same thing, the same wedding thing, all blues and whites. Anyway, it makes me crazy. So, okay, we have 14 minutes. Any other? I didn't talk at all about composition because I really don't think this group needs to. Unless, Renee, you do a lot of reviewing unless you want to bring up anything that,
No. To me, the composition's not that important when you can crop.
well, say it like
And
a different way.
but a picture that I would not normally, I wouldn't have the subject here because it's not in the rule of thirds, but marketing might use it because they need this space over here. So to me, the composition is not this isn't your final product. What we're turning in is not the final product.
Right. Yeah.
But I do want to say that, get the safe shots, obviously, the obvious one's the one that is the standard, like if you're a rodeo, the horse that's bucking with the legs all the way out and everything. But once you get the safe shots, also try for some of those, be creative, get some close ups of the spurs or you know, that's why we have, or one of the great things about having so many photographers is everybody has a different eye and people tend to have different styles and everything. And, we want variety. We want to be able to give marketing and sponsorship and everyone a variety of different styles of shots too. So,
Kathy, are you going to continue? And maybe you've always done it, and I just didn't realize it. But the number of images that you want for each assignment.
Yes, I'll put a max number of final product to turn in.
From a person who does reviewing, that is and it's also forces us to be better critics, I think, of what's acceptable. So.
oh, and one more thing that I was going to add that's it's sort of an advanced thing or whatever, but if you're shooting the rodeos, another reason that I shoot in shutter priority is especially for the finals and stuff. What you want to do is you want to take a picture of the Jumbotron when it's showing the person's name, and then you shoot their ride. That way you have a record of who it was. Because, we get a lot of the really big name rodeo people in there. And, it can be handy if you want in the future to know the names of the people you shot and stuff like that. Especially if we're looking back for images and stuff like that. So mine, in between each ride, you'll see the person's name there of the next one coming up.
I do that too, but it always ticks me off if they go change their shirt.
I know. And Renee will second this, that these guys are becoming rock stars, and I was reviewing some of my older stuff, and I have photos of some of the guys that just won the national finals rodeo. The Wright brothers, the Stetson Wright. I mean, he was here last year, and the guy with the super long hair. But to know who they are is.
Are you talking about Rocker Steiner?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yes, Rocker Steiner and Stetson Wright. They both won in two different things. But anyway.
Yeah.
These guys.
I just have a little bit of a crush on Rocker Steiner. So.
Yeah. Rocker Steiner, he's really well known, big name and all that. He's one of the ones that actually contacted me wanting one of my shots, and I had to tell him, no, we can't give out our shots. You'll have to talk to marketing.
Well, I hope you gave him their number because he's like
Oh yeah.
a big name in that thing.
Yes, yes, he is. Yeah, and the Wright brothers have been coming to the National Western for a long time. They even do the 1 year they won the Rodeo All Star. Two of the brothers together tied and won.
Hmm.
Well, they won they won the national thing in
Yeah.
Las Vegas. Renee can, yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully they'll be here. Exciting stuff. So I think only Jeff and I are doing the parade, so we'll and
Hey,
oh,
I'm there
and
too.
John,
Thank you very
are
much.
you riding on the wagon? So
No, I'm not riding on the wagon.
oh
Oh, your whole team's here, Rena. David's here too.
oh, that's right. You are going to be doing the parade. Good. We can talk about it.
Hey,
I will
Okay,
be
well,
a spectator at the parade.
pardon me.
I'll be a spectator at the parade.
Okay, we'll get you in the background.
Kathy, do
And
you want to talk about the new postings of social media rules this year?
Well, everybody that I had an interview with, I asked them if they understood it. Is there something that you want to bring up here?
No, I just know that it has changed.
Yes.
I was wondering about images that we've shot in past years. I think those would be safe, right?
Yes, yes, it is.
so it's not retroactive.
Right.
Yeah, those rules are subject to change during stock show and everything, according to the whims of marketing. We have a new marketing director there now too, so things could change with that. Hopefully, it won't, but it's hard to tell. They basically marketing doesn't like to be surprised. They don't want to see a shot that they haven't already seen posted on social media or something like that. Is the big problem? Is what happened last year? They started seeing some that because when we turn them in, they don't really get our shots till close to the end of stock show and stuff. So we're working on a way to get our shots to them, the better shots quicker and all that sort of stuff. So that's definitely a constantly evolving kind of thing.
Yeah. Renee,
Yeah,
I don't know. Your green light's on.
it is. Oh, I think I just sighed.
Oh,
Listen, my computer got hacked a week ago. It's been a nightmare.
Harrison.
If you want your information back, just send me the money. I told you.
I just got it back. I was just driving home at 7 o'clock when I got my computer back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
I think we're good.
I
Kathy,
have a
thank you.
question about SD cards. I've heard you should reformat those every once in a while instead of just deleting the pictures.
Yes.
I don't know if people do that.
I
I
do.
reformat before every single event.
I do too.
Every event I reformat.
But there's a quick reformat and then this is going to take a long time format. Are you speaking of like the second type or just because I reformat every time I take everything off of it?
Yeah, I've never done that before, so it's just something I learned. So
Yeah,
I guess I should do that if most people are doing that.
Yeah, I'm doing
you
that.
can just do it in the camera. You don't have to do it on a PC either.
Right. Yep. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
It's just,
And another handy thing to do is when you buy a new SD card, is maybe write the date on it or something like that, so that you'll know and not keep it in because eventually they're going to go bad. I've had them go bad on me and everything. It's kind of nice to know just how old each SD card is, so that if it's a couple of years old, you might want to go ahead and replace it with a new one before it has the chance to go bad.
Yeah, I think I've heard that as well. Good.
Good questions. Everybody, this has been a great session. I appreciate you all being here. Is there anything else that in we got about 5 minutes. Anything quick? Or, I mean, you're welcome to communicate with each other. Hopefully, you have each other's cell phone numbers in your device and you can keep the conversation up. That's great. Appreciate it. Anything else, Rena?
No, I appreciate Jeff Goldberg had some examples and we didn't get to that, but
Hey, Jeff Goldberg, do you have my text? I want to know what the video.
I put
What
one in
you
the
were referring
chat.
to.
That's not the one I use, but I put one in the chat. That's a reasonably bright one I might try out this year.
You put one in the chat. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can.
How do you get to the chat? I don't know how to get to the chat.
at the very bottom
Down at
of
the
your
bottom.
screen is a participant and then chat. You just click on chat.
Oh, there
So
it is.
for me, I'm on my phone. So for me to get to it, I have to click on my iPhone 2
Just text
icon.
me. I'll send you the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can do that, or I will be emailing out the recording of this, which will include the
yeah.
team chat.
Yeah.
So
Well, I gotta erase some things. Hold on.
Oh, I see it right here.
Are we not able to see Jeff's pictures?
I'm
what
sorry.
pictures?
Didn't he have some
He said he had
examples?
some pictures with me, but very blurry in the background.
That's true. Hans in the background.
Kathy,
He has
I have,
permission to share.
Oh, you want me to try that?
Somebody had a
Kathy,
question, I think.
yeah, I had kind of an administrative question for Kathy. So
Sure.
I'm still trying to put names with faces. Do you have like a directory, people's pictures and names?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that too. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Well, on the
Aren't they
day,
all in the posse on the Facebook? Hans, so don't we have our profiles and everybody that's in there?
Everybody that has joined up with that group, yes. If there's anybody that's not in the National Western Photographers Posse Facebook group, contact me on Facebook and tell me.
that would be David.
and
my
as
pictures.
far as profile pictures, we post them in the office on the day of every day who's on today. So that has everybody's picture with their name on it, at least everybody but the new volunteers, which we will get those updated this year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know where you're thinking I can put everybody's pictures. I mean, is there somebody here in this group that you don't recognize? I mean,
No, I'll either look at the Facebook group or just, take a picture when I go in the office.
yeah, that's a good
It'd
idea.
probably be the best thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we need like a family portrait, maybe 80s style. We're all like
No,
up against each other's
we've
face,
tried that. No,
stacked up one on top of the other.
sure. We could, yes. Right now, I'll do a screen capture. How's that?
Most of the people were in the picture from the very first couple days last year. That one big picture.
Yeah.
I wasn't in it.
I didn't
Me
get
neither.
invited.
Neither. I wasn't invited either.
See,
You
this
know
is what
what?
happens.
Nobody was invited. I think everybody just happened to be there.
I think so.
It was a happenstance thing.
Hey,
Okay.
David, are you friends with me on Facebook?
You said David?
Yeah, whoever was wanting it, you were the one that was wanting into the group, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm in the group because I lost my Facebook account for like 10 months. So I had to start all over. So I don't know if I'm in the group either.
Well, let's see, Hans. I'll look.
Okay, because I just went to invite you and I tried to typing in your name and it didn't find you. So
Did you type in my name?
no, I don't want you in the group.
What? Don't do me that way, Hans.
Why is it? It doesn't seem to be finding you either. It's like there's
Yeah,
something.
see, I think I
sent you a request.
I was probably in it at one time, but then I lost my account.
All right.
But you're friends with me on Facebook, right? So it's weird that I'm not.
Well, with my new account, I am
Okay, what's your new account name? Is it just Renee or?
Renee Baldridge Grainer.
Not going in.
Are we still gonna get to see those photos from Jeff?
I posted the one of Hans in the back of the horse.
Yeah, it's
In
on.
the chat.
It's in the
Oh,
chat.
Oh, it's in chat. Okay, hold on. Hans with the horse.
Odds in the back of on the back of a horse or something. I
Not
don't
the
know.
back. I got
can't
the
look
front.
yet.
You were
That's
shooting the
got
back.
noise.
I said we can both post. I got the front of the horse. Let's see yours from the other side.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
I think Hans and David are both in bed on this call.
I am in bed, yes.
But not together.
Hey,
This is where I've set up to do my OnlyFans, so I figured I'd
And
just
that's a
do it.
nice picture. That is so nice.
I don't
Wow.
think, I do not see a picture in there.
Oh, that's a great shot.
Wow.
Man.
What were your settings on this?
I'm not worthy.
that is ISO 5000 on that one.
What's your aperture?
Wow.
2.8.
Wow.
Is there a way
What
that I
if it
can see this
focus on?
picture that everyone's looking at?
Focus on his.
I had to download mine, Rena.
I will try to
clicked on
share a
it.
screen. Let's see what happens.
Oh, is it on Facebook? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
he did it.
No,
the
it's in the
chat
Zoom
on
chat.
Zoom.
Oh, Zoom chat.
And you have to download it.
Yeah, I'm a little out of focus in it. You should have focused on
okay.
me. That writer should be,
No.
Wow,
You know,
wow, wow.
See if it lets me do this. Can you see?
Yeah.
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 That's the one with Hans.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We've got 10,000 pictures of Hans.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can just AI that out of there.
He's just always in every picture. I mean, and if he's not, he jumps into the background.
Yeah,
And
he's just
Okay.
always there. No, I tried to pull examples from the stuff we were talking about. This is the one where the exposure was near impossible. Whoops. Yeah, this when the horse was in the fire.
Yeah.
So that's just there's no pre-setting that one. It was just like on the fly what's gonna work.
Yep.
But that's cool when they're in the spotlight. You get the little kids in the spotlight. They work great.
And that's with just regular metering. I mean, just
Yeah,
evaluative.
yeah.
yeah.
And you can see the settings, so it's ISO 5000 in that place. Speaking of guys that won, did this guy win? Josh, whatever his name was, a couple years ago. That's why I pulled him out. Whoops. The mouse.
Josh Frost.
Yes.
I
So
know
we're-
he's won a lot. He did not win anything this year, sadly.
No.
But
No, but I'll just as an example, this was a wide angle shot, Ben. So if you can get the right spot, it's a
Yeah.
lot more forgiving to get the action at wide angle.
Yeah, I think it could be more dramatic in certain situations.
yep. And with the barrel racers, I'll often ahead of time I'll focus on the barrel because I'll be shooting. I shoot one, then I move to the next spot they're going to be turning at, and I'll focus on the barrel to start with, so that my focus is at least really close to what it's going to need to be.
And
Yeah.
see what I
Then
do.
I'll
I do the
refocus when the barrel racer's there, but
I do the eye focus when they're like 20 yards away.
Yeah.
You just kind of stay locked on through the turn.
Guys,
Okay.
you guys don't use manual focus?
No.
No.
Oh, are you kidding me?
No.
Oh,
Not
I
since
do all the
you-
time.
Not
This is
now.
what we're probably frowned upon when you or like these kind of things when you lean out through the railing.
Yes, you could get hurt.
But it's a cool picture.
Yep.
I just got a bunch.
Do you focus on the human eye or the animal eye?
You know, I try for the human eye. Sometimes it misses, but if it can see both, it'll pick the human eye.
Yeah, I was going to mention that in your one with me blurry in the background, that shows that you don't always have to focus on the eyes because you can't see his eyes in that
Yeah.
shot.
Right. Right.
So
That
but it's
one.
still a great shot. And I usually try and get the rider's eyes, but that's the, you know, that shot's amazing right there. So you don't really have to have the rider's eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just trying to pick examples. This is the horse riding ones, which are near impossible. It's super dark in there. This one is at 12,800.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to the day when we could tell AI to fill all those seats in the background.
You probably could. You probably could
can
now.
I tried. It did not.
Then you're always telling us to get the president's box, so this guy jumped in front of the president's box, which is nice of him to do.
Yep.
But yeah, and then like pre-focusing on the shoots, which is what I always do, because then you're always asking us to get the signs in the shoots. So it's always going to be in that spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And actually, like 2 seconds after this is when the horses start to move and you can't see the bull anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say the focusing is much. I don't miss as many on the focus, but I miss so many because the pickup men on the horses will pull in front of me.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
100% of the time.
This shot is amazing, in my opinion, because of the girl in the background with
The
the
little
face.
girl.
Oh, the clown girl.
Yeah, I think that is wonderful.
I can't say I tried to make that happen, Hansa.
Yeah, but her, then you've got the serious cowboy below her, the guy with the mustache and all looking really serious, the ref or judge. You got her up there. I just think that's a great shot.
It's funny. I was just trying to get the signs. So it's there's more, but that's the gist. Because I was just pulling them to show different lighting examples. I think they're pretty similar from there. Yeah, another one with the lights, spit going everywhere.
Yep.
I am missing. Yeah, your settings aren't listed on here.
They're up on the right. So if you look in Lightroom, so it's ISO. This one's
okay.
ISO 8000.
Okay.
So I'm clear across the arena. So 1600. Exactly what I put in the
Yeah.
chat.
Oh. Well, just gonna have to increase my shutter speed.
There's another one where I leaned out. Yeah, I leaned out the.
Yeah, one time, one of my first years there, I had a Joby tripod with like a GoPro or something set up on that rail, and it got destroyed. So just saying, keep your head in.
But this is at 200 millimeters, so I'm pretty far away from that
Yeah.
horse.
Yeah.
I don't think I leaned out. I just leaned the camera out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can do more. But that you get the gist. So I just tried to pull different examples for the different lighting.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We're 8 minutes past. Kathy has something.
I have a date with my pillow.
So again, appreciate it, everyone. And it's only got a week to 10 days. I don't know, something like that.
Yep.
I'll
And
be
I
in
will
Denver
add Renee
in a
and
week.
David to the Facebook group.
I'll be calling you about the parade in the next few days.
Okay.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. Take care. We'll
Bye.
see
All
you
right.
soon.
Good night.
See you
Kathy,
guys.
Kathy,
Adios.
Kathy,
Bye.
can we talk a little bit after this?
Yeah, stay on, David.
Okay. I'm outie.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.